Hi, this is Angela G. from No Longer Lukewarm for Red Hot Christians and Wannabes. These videos are for those of you who like to listen while you're doing something else. For those of you who like to read my blog, you can find that link in the description box below. So this one is called Fixing Spiritual Problems in Plumbing, an analogy. Living in North Texas is usually pretty great, but if there's one problem that characterizes the Texas homeownership experience, it's a slab leak. The ground is especially prone to movement and foundation issues, and with the heat, the constant expanding and contracting of the pipes just begs for trouble. The past 2 weeks I've been dealing with a leak that turned my living room into a small swamp. Of course, I called several plumbers to get bids. I experienced some good, some bad, and some very ugly estimates for the work to be completed. When all was said and done, though, I realized that the situation was actually a pretty good analogy for the proper way to go about fixing spiritual problems. The problem all started about a week and a half ago. I noticed that when I stepped into my living room from my kitchen, there was a definite squish to the carpet that hadn't been there before. By the next day, the little squish had turned into a big sploosh that was about 4 feet across. Thus began the parade of plumbers over the next 5 days. The plumbers. The first plumber charged us $79 to use a giant stethoscope to listen for a leak. He pronounced the breach in the middle of the kitchen floor and gave an estimate of about $5,900 to drill under the house to get the pipes where he believed the leak to be. He said a reroute could be done for $6,900, but he didn't recommend it. The second one wanted $400 to use state-of-the-art equipment to detect where the leak was coming from. He said that this was preferable to the alternative, which was jackhammering through the kitchen tile where he thought the leak was until he found it. He couldn't give me a true estimate until he saw the leak detection report. However, he anticipated that it would be around $3,500 to complete the job, in addition to the leak detection fee. Of course, I would be responsible for fixing the hole in the tile floor when he was done. I asked about a reroute. He said they were impossible in a 2-story house. The third plumber came to my house for free and gave an estimate to reroute the lines for about $400 to $800. He said there would be holes in my walls where he accessed the pipes, but the cost of the drywall repair would be minimal compared to tunneling or jackhammering. He did the job for $600, and I'm looking for a drywall company this week. The first 2 plumbers represent the world. Who knows how many times my pipes expanded and contracted before they finally gave out. It was not until the moment of crisis that I realized I needed a fix. This is like how people aren't always ready to deal with their spiritual condition until they hit rock bottom. But even when people realize they have a problem, they often assume that it has to be fixed at the source of the break. Both of the first 2 plumbers wanted to find the leak under the house, access it, and fix the original pipes. Neither one could answer the question about what we would do if another section of the pipe under the house broke again from the same conditions that broke the first one. They just shrugged and said, "That's Texas for you." The elements of our fallen world just beat on us again and again until we snap. That's just the nature of our world. The first 2 plumbers represent us trying to fix our problems while we're still in our flesh. But we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Our problems are spiritual in nature, and as such need a spiritual solution. Plus, even if we were to go to great lengths to accurately determine the source of an issue in one facet of our lives and get it under control, the same elements would hit us again in another area. The third plumber represents being born again. The third plumber, on the other hand, didn't care where the leak was in the old pipes under the house. If there was one leak in those pipes, there would probably be more. Instead, he capped the existing pipe down into the ground and rerouted it upward. The new pipes are made of a material that wasn't around when the house was built. They are stronger, and their new location in the walls will protect them from the outside elements. The plumber took the pipes above the kitchen across the bathroom and back down to reconnect the pipes near the air conditioning vent in the living room where they needed to go. In the process, he sought about 8 different holes in the walls to get to the different pipes for all the areas of the house. This is like how God came for us. Instead of trying to fix us the way we were, he gave us new life, new equipment. We are now born again with the Spirit of God residing inside us. Like the new pipes, we're more resilient and protected from the elements of this world because we are no longer down in the dirt. God changed our priorities and paths to something higher. The holes in the drywall. Of course, the process didn't happen without a little damage. God had to knock through some walls to access the bits of our heart that had been hardened by sin. He had to cap the parts of us that were connected to the world and the devil and deliver us from the enemy's grasp. And he had to create new connections so the water of his precious Holy Spirit could run to all areas of our lives. My earthly plumber left holes in my wall that I will have to get fixed next week, God willing. When God knocks a hole, though, He never leaves us like that. He remakes us better than we were before, each time making us closer and closer to His image in the process. The high cost of a bad plumber. When searching for a plumber in North Texas, obviously results may vary. The prices run from the reasonable to the ridiculous, and the methods from the destructive to the minimally damaging. Ultimately, though, in the spiritual analogy, the lesson is clear. People can't expect to fix spiritual problems with worldly solutions, and even if they do, the price of an eternity apart from God is much too high. Instead, we need Jesus to give us new life and reroute our paths above the harmful elements that cause us damage. We must submit to God and the changes He wants to make in our lives. It's only in this way that we may receive the life-giving flow of His precious Holy Spirit.